This weekend, I had an intense sweet tooth. You know what I mean? It's that insatiable craving to eat sweets in any and all format. And even after eating them, I just wanted more. Have you ever felt that way? This was a little bit surprising to me because the last couple months I've been really thoughtful about my sugar intake and where it's coming from and hidden and trying to reduce it. And as a result, my cravings had really decreased. And so I was surprised when on Saturday, I find myself ravaging through my cabinets looking for sugar. And so I was wondering why this happened. And I did a deep dive, and we're going to talk about that today. So I want to talk about sugar in a non-judgmental way. Definitely not in a you can't eat that holiday cookie sort of way, because the truth of the matter is sugar is part of the season. We are currently in the season that I refer to as the sugar holidays, between October and about April, usually running from Halloween until Easter, where we are inundated with sugar. We are offered sugar everywhere we turn. Our kids are bringing it home. There are sweet treats everywhere. There's special holiday lattes. And it's actually one of the things that I enjoy about the season. And so it makes me think of gifting and cooking at home and celebration. And I want to think of sugar and have a relationship with sugar in a way where I can enjoy it and not feel guilty about it. So your microbiome, the trillions of bacteria and yeast and fungi that colonize and line your intestinal tract, actually plays a major role in how sugar affects you. It can determine whether you have strong cravings or you feel really elated or high after eating sugar, or whether you feel bloated and inflamed and gassy after eating sugar. So let's dive into that. I'm Dr. Katrina Coulter. I'm an infectious disease specialist, and I make educational health videos. I focus on the microbiome because it plays so many different roles in your overall health. In this video today, we're going to get into how sugar affects your gut microbiome, how the microbes actually determine whether you eat more sugar, how we are wired as humans to overindulge, and most importantly, I'm going to provide you with 7 tips on how you can manage your sugar intake this holiday season and still enjoy the season without feeling out of control or fatigued or bloated or inflamed. Just a reminder, this is meant to serve as health information and not as medical information. And so please consult with your healthcare provider if you have any medical issues. So when we eat sugar, whether that's going to be peppermint bark or fudge or a pumpkin spice latte or pecan pie, it gets absorbed very quickly in the small intestine. This is the upper part of our digestive system. What we have up there is less beneficial bacteria and some that are actually more prone to inflammation. And because it gets so absorbed so quickly in the small intestine, most of it does not make it to the large intestine. And in the large intestine is where our beneficial bacteria or our probiotic bacteria live. These are the ones that make the short chain fatty acids that do all the amazing things for our body. So when we're eating a lot of sweets, we're essentially not feeding the good bacteria and we're overfeeding the bad bacteria. So one way to think of it would be like a neighborhood. Your microbiome is a neighborhood, and there is a food truck that pulls up several times a day, but it stops at the first houses on the street. These are the small intestine houses. And it just stops there and then loads all the food. And so the occupants of these first few houses get first dibs on all the contents of the food truck. And then the people that live further down the street don't get as much if they get any. And this happens over and over. So the people that live on the first houses come to expect that the food truck is going to come they're ready, they're waiting. They get kind of pushy and loud about it actually, because they feel like this is their food. And so eventually the beneficial bacteria that live further down the street, they just leave because they're being starved out. And what this results in is more gut inflammation, because these beneficial bacteria maintain the intestinal cell lining. It also results in decreased metabolism, because these are the bacteria that really help us manage our insulin and blood sugar. And it also results in lower short chain fatty acid production. So things like butyrate, propionate, and these are the things that really convey these good, healthy signals to the rest of our body. When we take in a lot of sugar, especially repeatedly throughout the day, as it tends to happen during this holiday season, we really see more of the growth of these opportunistic microbes that are associated with inflammation and increased hunger, and we see devastation of our good microbes. So this explains why sugar doesn't just taste sweet, but it also changes our internal chemistry. Sugar cravings are not a lack of willpower. There's actually a biologic mechanism why these occur. I'm going to break it down into 3 parts for you. So the first part has to do with these opportunistic or not great bacteria in the upper part of your intestines, in the small intestine. So the more they're fed, the more they grow, and they produce these metabolites or byproducts that stimulate our vagus nerve. Our vagus nerve is that nerve, our 10th cranial nerve, that runs from the brain down to all the internal organs, including the intestines, and it's a two-way street. So the brain sends signals down that say things like speed up that digestion or slow down and rest, and then the gut sends signals up saying go look for food or go take a nap. Everything's good in here and we just need some time to digest. So these non-beneficial bacteria are sending signals up to the brain saying we need more sugar. So if we go back to that food truck analogy, stopping at the first houses, it's like now they're getting on their phones, they're calling the brain and they're like, hey, send the food truck. I know it's due at noon, but we need the food truck here at 11:30. We're ready, we're waiting. The second thing that happens is that when you eat sugar and you absorb it rapidly, you get an initial energy spike. So you feel great, you're ready to do things. You've seen this happen in kids when they get candy. But then there comes a sugar crash. So if you drink a sugary latte in the morning, pretty shortly after you metabolize that sugar, you are going to have a crash where all of a sudden your body needs more food. So this releases hunger hormones saying, I am out of energy. You need to get more energy. And the fastest, easiest way to release energy is going to be sugar. So instead of craving protein or salt or things like that, your hormones are telling your brain, you need sugar now. So that really translates as intense cravings. So the third mechanism is the dopamine reward system. So dopamine, I like to think of as like a reward transmitter. So maybe you get on Facebook and some post you posted has 25 likes and that gives you a little dopamine hit. We also get that when we eat sweets because it makes us feel good and we just got that energy release. And so the more you eat sweets and get that dopamine hit, the more that pathway in your brain becomes very well worn. So think of it like a path that you walk over and over, and pretty soon there's no weeds and it's an easy path to cover. And so these neurons are now telling your brain, yeah, we need that hit. We know how to get that hit. Go find some sugar. So it's not because you are weak-minded that you are eating sugar. It's because we were designed to crave sugar. So another way to think about this is throughout our human history, sugar was not abundantly available, especially during the colder months. So we might get berries, we might get some overripe fruit, maybe some honey, and probably not any then again for several months. So we are wired when we come across it to overindulge, because this means survival, or this meant survival to our ancestors. But we're not living in those times now. The problem is our software hasn't upgraded in our brain. So we still tend to go into that scarcity mindset and overindulge when we come across sugar. So when you have these cravings, it's not a lack of discipline. You're having a normal human response to an abnormal environment. So the biggest issue that happens during these holidays is something I call sugar stacking. And that's where we are eating this sugar all day long because it's so readily available. So what it might look like is you have that latte from Starbucks in the morning, and then a couple hours later you find some donuts in the break room or some other holiday treat that some coworker lovingly brought. So you have one of those because it looks delicious. And then maybe you attend a holiday party later in the day and there's your favorite dessert and it looks so great. And so you have some of that. And then before bedtime, you have another sweet bite of something. And so all day long, your microbiome has been bathed in sugar. So individually, these are each not a problem, but when you are having these all together, you're going to have increased cravings, you're going to have fatigue, you're going to have inflammation, and of course, you're very likely going to see some holiday weight gain. So here's the main takeaway from this video. You can enjoy the holiday treats, but you also have to nourish your microbiome. So I'll say that again, you can enjoy your holiday treats, but you also need to nourish your microbiome. So here are 7 tips that can help you better manage, have a better relationship with sugar throughout this holiday season, but still feel good, not feel guilty that you overindulge, not feel bloated or inflamed or tired. So step 1 or tip 1 is eat fiber before sugar. So even 5 to 8 grams of fiber, and 1 whole apple is 5 grams of fiber, can slow the digestion of sugar. And so you will feed the beneficial microbes with the fiber and you won't so rapidly metabolize that sugar. So this could be something like nuts, fruit, hummus with veggies. Tip number 2 is never eat sugar alone. Eat it with protein or fat. So this is going to play on the same principle of the first tip, in that it's going to slow your absorption of the sugar and it's going to prevent that sugar spike and then that sugar crash that tells you, oh my goodness, I'm starving and I must find more sugar now. Tip number 3 is hydrate strategically. So drinking a glass of water before you eat something sweet and after you eat something sweet will help you better metabolize it. And I like to play a little game with myself where I take the treat as a reward, but to earn the reward, I have to drink a glass of water. Tip number 4 is add in movement. So 10 to 15 minutes of movement after you eat sweets will help you metabolize it much better and it will improve your digestion. And so I play the game here too, the reward game, where I'll tell myself, you can have that cookie, but first you must go for a 10-minute walk or you have to do 10 push-ups. And a really interesting thing happens here. Sometimes I forget that I want the sweet treat because I get the dopamine hit from the exercise itself. And so then I no longer need the sweets. I just kind of move on throughout my day. And I've improved my microbiome by exercising, and I've improved my muscles and my bones. And so it's a win-win, even if you do eat the treat. Tip number 5 is use the one treat or one window rule. And what this means is you say, for example, know that you're going to grandma's house and she's making the $1 million fudge that you only eat once a year and you really love it. So you avoid sweets all the rest of the day. You skip the latte, you skip the donut, you skip the cookies in the break room, and you go and enjoy the $1 million fudge when you get to grandma's house. Or the one window means you set a time window. So you say, I'm not eating sweets all day, but between the hours of 3 and 4, I can have a sweet snack. Or between 6 and 7, I'm gonna have a sweet dessert. And so you're limiting that time period in which you're exposing your microbes to that sugar. And that's going to help you manage your cravings. Number 6, fiber load your mornings. So if you are going to start with a protein and fiber dense breakfast, you're A, going to feel more full, and B, better nourish your microbes to handle any sugar load that you get throughout the day. So you'll better handle that donut that just shows up randomly like they do when you work in the healthcare setting. Donuts just show up all over the place. You never know when you're gonna go around a corner and there's a box of donuts just waiting for you. Number 7 is something I talk about all the time if you've watched any of my other videos or my Facebook Lives, and this is nourish your microbiome. So instead of thinking about the things you can't have, focus more on the things that you need to have. Things like legumes and fermented foods, whole grains, nuts, leafy greens. And this is going to help your microbiome be very resilient. So when you do have that sugar, it doesn't have such an impact and doesn't make you feel so inflamed or so fatigued. I hope you were able to find one tip in there, or maybe all 7, that are going to help you manage this holiday season and all the sugar that is going to surround us, and enjoy it. I'm going to do a 31-day December challenge to reframe your relationship with sugar on my Facebook page. It's Elevations Transformations. If you want to follow along, there'll be a daily post to encourage you and help you just think about sugar a little bit differently in your day, so that when you hit January 1, 2026, it's not feeling like you've overindulged and you're tired and you have a lot of cleanup to do. It's feeling that you have been well prepared. So sugar is not the enemy. Unnecessary guilt is the enemy. Lack of understanding of how it affects the microbiome can make you feel out of control. But once you understand your microbiome, you understand your human wiring, and you support the right bacteria, you can enjoy the holidays without feeling tired, bloated, and fatigued. You're not fighting the willpower, you're supporting your biology. If you found this helpful, please like or subscribe. And if you want to work one-on-one with me, I have a couple of coaching spots available. You can find me at katrinacoulter.com, katrinacoultermd.com. I'll see you on the next video.